Welcome to the VIP takeaways for episode number 2 with guest Travis Gardner. Travis is a good friend of mine. I've known him since 2010. We've suffered together in all kinds of workouts. We've traveled together to train different teams. We've been business partners. We got Peak off the ground. He's the one who brought me in, kind of recruited me to put me in a position to build this property management company. It means a lot to me that he was the first guest on the podcast. Now, knowing Travis very well, he doesn't necessarily like to share information as far as like his personal accomplishments and his very successful company or rental or investment portfolio or activities. He's very humble. He wants to just be like everyone else, but he is an absolute genius. One of the smartest people I know, one of the best people I know, one of the most humble people I know. So I really appreciate him for coming on, but I wanted to cover some takeaways from that podcast. One of the main things that took out for me is from an early age, he took control. He took ownership. So a lot of people will think, man, that's out of my control. There's no way I have any say in this, or I can't make a difference. And it's not necessarily like the victim mentality. It could be to an extreme extent, but that's where it starts. And then it becomes a victim. The other extreme is the victim mentality. Well, Travis, you can tell, is like, hey, if he wants something, he's going to get after it. He's going to make a decision. He's going to make change. He's going to step up and try to take control or try to shift momentum in one way or another. And you can tell he did that from an early age. And I think that's a big part of his success and what drew him to who he was. Now, he's able to do that in a way that he doesn't detract people. He doesn't detract friends or relationships or anything like that. If anything, he takes control to look out for other people and create a team where other people can win. And I think that's unbelievable that is his natural instinct, or maybe learned at some point, but that's to be debated at another time. Everything is an opportunity, or opportunities are everywhere. I think he mentioned that someone in his life realized that opportunities are everywhere, and he kind of learned that that's true. And I think it rubbed off on him a little bit, where literally everything you look at is an opportunity. There's so many ways to make money. There's so many ways to just get creative, fill a need, fill a gap. I think it just comes down to running out of time to do it. And Travis finds these opportunities, and then he finds people to fill those gaps, like good people in his life that can handle certain challenges or objections or whatever, step up, get in there and fill those gaps. And Travis, being a person who sees those opportunities, can then fill those gaps. If you don't see those opportunities in the first place, you're not going to be the person to fill the gaps. And so Travis's ability to see the opportunity is pretty incredible. He understood assets and liabilities. Now, he did have a grandparent, and his father really understood investing, and they were fully in the game of business ownership and buying houses and development and things like that. So he did get that influence from them, most likely got it from them, that knowledge and that understanding of how money works and how assets and liabilities work, how financial freedom works and things like that. So good on him. None of us have an excuse. The information is everywhere if we want to find it. But Travis, fortunately, is a very bright genius, again, one of the smartest people I know, but he was able to be taught that, or that rubbed off on him at some point, that it's smart to own assets. And so when he was right out of college, he got started. Now, this is really what sets Travis apart and shows his genius. He's probably cringing if he's watching this, but I have such a high level of respect for him. His first deal, or at least one of his first deals, or a 50-year lease with an option to purchase the house. And if the purchase occurs, it's going to be through seller financing at 0% on a 10-year term. Your first deal on a single family house is a 50-year lease with the option to purchase. And then you purchase at seller finance, 0% financing for 10 years. If that's your first deal in real estate, good for you. That's awesome. You have a good future ahead of you, and it shows. Travis has done very well. He leverages IRA early. So to me, I'm newer in real estate. I've been in the game since maybe 2018. Well, definitely since 2018. I started hearing about self-directed IRAs maybe like a 2020-ish, maybe. But again, I'm new to the game. I'm trying to build these relationships and get this information. Well, Travis has been doing it early, since I think like right out of college. He started leveraging his IRA. He bought a property in his IRA, a rental property in his IRA. He was doing lending. He was financing flips. He was holding rentals. The property they bought, he was holding rentals in his IRA. And he is now investing in companies and in privately held companies in his IRA. I believe he mentioned in the podcast he had paid a few $100,000 to a struggling privately held company, and then he's investing in other really well-off, high-performing, expanding companies that were doing, raising funds to expand. He's put those in his IRAs too. And if you could imagine how much business he's done in the IRA to save so many, likely hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, that's the way to go. So that's pretty cool to hear Travis talk about leveraging his IRA. Now, this medical office building. So Travis has invested in different types of real estate assets, but he bought a medical office building and partnered in a medical office building. He had 2% equity, but he structured the deal to have 25% depreciation and then the upside after a hurdle rate. So a preferred rate of return, and then anything over that, he's got some big upside above 2% on that. So most people would just see 2% equity and be like, okay, I'm game. It's a medical office building, probably still worth doing some work on. But that 2% equity with the negotiation to take part in 25% of depreciation, that 25% of the depreciation was able to write off, I think he mentioned somewhere around $60,000 worth of income a year against his taxes because of that. So basically that lowered his income from a tax perspective. And then he's getting the upside over a certain preferred return. Incredible. Again, like if your first deal is a 50-year lease with an option to buy, you're going to come up with some pretty cool stuff on medical buildings and some other things. What I haven't mentioned is started Kanawha Management when it turned into Peak. When he brought me on board, we rebranded to Peak, and he helped get that off the ground. Now, he has a very successful construction company, Gardner Construction, that is pretty much perfection. I've seen their projects. It's some of the best work I've seen. He does it without marketing. I mean, again, he's very humble when he talks about it. He hasn't done marketing or advertising. A website, I think he said, is probably 15 years old or 10 years old or something like that. He just does such a good job that he is one of the most expensive residential contractors out there, and he is in demand, and he's got a backlog of work. He's very selective about what he brings on. He has excellent clients that he works with, not far from his home and his family and things like that. So he set himself up really well, and he's controlled the standards in his life. He's controlled his relationships. He's controlled his reputation. He's controlled his business dealings and decisions, and just all around awesome person. One of the things I really respect about Travis, I've said it a few times already, is he is humble. He's got a good deal of humility about him to where he's not that interested in talking about his portfolio. He's more interested in maybe helping people and being a resource and seeing how he can make an impact in other people's lives. What he's doing now is a big passion of his. Check out Bring It RVA. That is what he's doing now alongside Gardner Construction. That's still going very strong. But Bring It RVA is an outdoor fitness program, a 501c3, and it is benefiting our community, keeping people active, bringing attention to unsung heroes. They're celebrating other leaders in our community that have made an impact, and there's all kinds of great people that go out there. Friday mornings, 5:45, Dogwood Dell at Bird Park. It's the big Carillon at Dogwood Dell. Go check that out. Support Travis, meet him, shake his hand, and get to know him and the other people out there and support a good cause. Thanks for listening to the takeaways. Hopefully you go watch the full episode and get something out of it. Thanks again.